I'm here with Ben Carver, who is an expert on Tantric Massage. Ben, first question, within Tantric teaching, where does Tantric Massage sit?
Well, the beautiful thing about Tantra is that it's a spiritual system that includes every aspect of life as something that we can learn from and use as fuel on our spiritual path. So this, of course, includes sexuality and eroticism. Tantra is famous, for the love-making practices, but I suppose Tantric Massage is a slightly safer way for putting these things in practice. And also, it frees us up from a lot of the preconditioning that we have around sexuality, around eroticism, around lovemaking. We're very conditioned in the way we act in these situations normally. And it gives us a chance to really practice being the one offering, and then at a different occasion being the one receiving. So you get to really focus into these experiences and get, in that way, much more from them.
What makes Tantric Massage a spiritual practice in its own right?
Well, sometimes I like to think about it as the most dynamic or the most intense form of meditation you could ever hope to practice. Because you think about it, when most people practice meditation, the idea is that you shut yourself off in a quiet place, ask no one to disturb you, turn your phone off, all these kind of precautions that you take in order to limit the external distractions, the energy, the intensity around you, so that you can focus your attention in the midst of all that calmness. But now imagine you take that attention that you've now trained and take it into a tornado, an ocean of energy which is stirring and rising up very powerfully all around you. You really have to know what you're doing in order to handle that without getting lost in it, in other words. So it's a fantastic training for or opportunity to put in place everything that you've done in your previous spiritual training and to heighten it.
So are there many levels of experience in Tantric Massage?
Yes, because we begin, of course, by addressing the physical body. So, everybody carries a lot of tensions in their body, and these will be helped to be released, so the person will feel calmer, lighter in this way, more able to relax. But then also, energetically, we're starting to clear a lot of the energetic channels in the body to release emotions where they're held in the body as well, because we carry a lot of emotions, and this is basically what all the tensions are. It's emotions unexpressed, unresolved in the body. And in doing this, it allows the mind to actually calm down, because we're so concerned all the time with all of our day-to-day baggage. But really, when you come into a very present experience of the body, the mind becomes very still. The mind is a very useful instrument for comparing everything that we're experiencing now with the past and the future. But when you really come into a strong experience at the present moment, the mind almost gets the past. You become very still. The emotions become very calm and harmonized. And this is when we can start to see deeper into ourselves, which is really the main aim of a Tantric massage, is to awaken the soul of that person. So you have to get past all of the other disturbances, calm all of that down, so you can see the deeper waters underneath.
And when people talk about erotic energies, this can be accompanied by giggling or other forms of silliness, embarrassment, or a desire to cover up something that may be termed naughtiness. In Tantra, erotic energies are treated with reverence. Why is this?
Well, this is because, as a society in general, we've hidden away our erotic nature so much that it's become something, because it's so intense, it's become something to be afraid of. And to dress that fear, we've created all kinds of complexes and inhibitions and political correctness and all these kind of things. So people feel very awkward. But of course, they're very attracted, very fascinated by this very intense energy, because we're all looking for intensity of experience somehow. But then the problem is, if that isn't connected with the heart, then it becomes something dangerous. You're being led into a place where you're not in control, you're not safe, With Tantra, though, it's regarded as something eminently beautiful, something that you can really learn through, because the reproductive energies in our body are regarded as the reflection in us of God's creative power. So it's the life force, it's the creative power of everything reflected in us. And so if you look at it like that, it does create this attitude of amazing respect and awe and wonder, and the need to really work consciously with those energies.
Is the awakening of the erotic energies a complex process?
Yes, in that there's a lot holding us back. So maybe we don't have enough vital energy, because the vital energy is what is then expressed as our eroticism. Maybe we haven't learned to connect our eroticism with the heart. Maybe we have erotic energies, but they're just not very dynamized yet. We need to stir everything up a little bit. Or for many people, it's about mental stress. That can be a big a killer, if you like, for the sensation in people. So all these things can get in the way, but all of these things will be addressed in the process of a good tantric massage, to calm the person down, to help them to relax, to bring them into their body, to help them to feel safe as well, which is very, very important.
So people may not be able to feel the massage fully if their minds are preoccupied or they've shut down in some way. Is that right?
Yes, just as it's right about life in general. If we're very stressed and anxious, the mind is running in certain automatic circles, if you like. We can't really experience life fully until we become present, and that again means getting past the mind, and so we really enter into the present moment in everything that we're doing. Yeah.
Is it important also to overcome inhibitions?
Yes, absolutely. You could almost say this is maybe more on the feminine side of the picture, because as we'll see, awakening in tantric massage is very much about polarizing of that person and awakening their specific polarity or gender, their soul quality. So particularly for women, it's about manifesting the energy, being an uninhibited, spontaneous, creative, sensual, beautiful being of energy like that. So of course, the inhibitions are the very things which hold you back from just letting go of everything and being that magnificent you that you can be. So yes, it is very important, but it's never something that should be forced though, because always, I mentioned love in the previous question, but it's really that we are holding this in a loving way, and that's what makes you feel safe enough to let your defenses down, to let your inhibitions down. If we push through them, they just spring back even stronger than they were before, which is again not helpful.
I've heard also it's important to maintain a relaxed awareness.
Yes, this is also the other side of the picture. This is the more masculine key, if you like, but also very, very important for both sides. Because when we are awakening energy, either we get lost in that energy, it carries us away and then eventually controls us, or if we can stay as the eye of the storm, if you like, the still point in the midst of it all, then this is what it means to really train, particularly as a man, in your meditative control, if you like, the focusing of your awareness, to be able to remain relaxed and centered in the midst of whatever energies you're awakening in your partner, because there's a bomb of energy waiting there to awaken when she's addressed properly. But then, of course, our own bodies react very naturally as well. We become aroused, awakened, and even in the midst of all that, you have to, again, remain relaxed, focused, aware, present.
How do we open the channels of subtle perception?
This is, again, something that happens when you start to reduce the external noise. When you start to reduce the disturbances of the mind, and again enter into presence in your body, really start to tune into your senses, you'll start to realize that there's a lot more going on that you may have ever noticed before. So this is a big part of it, and when we're really present in this kind of soul awareness, all kinds of much more subtle realities become obvious to us. So you can start to train in this direction as well. But it happens very naturally.
How do the five senses operate as navigation devices leading towards discovery of our true selves, of our soul?
Well, that's exactly what they're actually designed for. You know, we tend to think of the senses as a survival mechanism, something to stop us falling down potholes and bumping into things. But really, they are channels of nourishment for the soul. So whenever you see, hear, feel, touch, taste something beautiful, try to focus on how it makes you feel inside, and then you'll notice there's a big change. Your soul has received nourishment of beauty, of love, of warmth. And so they are exactly that. They are the channels of nourishment for the soul, which will help to awaken our inner nature.
How does Tantric Massage work to quieten our thoughts?
Well, when we have a very beautiful experience, the mind naturally becomes still. You know, imagine you're watching an amazing sunset or standing in front of the ocean. When you're overwhelmed by the beauty and the intensity of that experience, the mind becomes very, very still. Again, because you become present.
And does that then help you connect with your senses when the mind is still?
Yes, absolutely, because again, you can only sense things which are happening right now. You know, we can't see something that happened 5 minutes ago, unless you're talking about the speed of light and all this kind of thing. But also, you know, when you touch, you feel that touch right now. So they're like two sides of the same coin. You know, when the mind is very still, you become present, and also when you tune into the senses, you become very present as well.
So the exploration of the sense of touch, how does that benefit the giver as well as the receiver?
Well, as the giver, you have to be very conscious in how you touch. We touch very unconsciously a lot of the time, and this is actually, from a very spiritual point of view, it's actually almost harmful, because that soul part of ourselves, and sometimes you can relate this to your inner child, that very innocent, pure, naive part of you that just wants connection and love. So when our body is touched, the soul kind of rushes out full of expectation and joy that this connection is about to be made. But then if it isn't met by another soul, it doesn't feel that sense of union, of course it feels rejected, and then we start to build up all of the defences and the armour that we can accumulate around the heart. So that's how we build all this emotional armour around ourselves. Fortunately, the remedy is equally simple. It's just to touch consciously. So for the one touching, the one offering, you're learning to really focus and be present in yourself and in what you're doing, because you're providing the safe foundation and loving foundation for this whole experience. And for the one receiving, they're tuning into the touch, because that's what's going to help them to stay really present, to keep the mind still, and to really connect into the experience. And the longer you can maintain that strong connection, the deeper you go on this journey into yourself. And this cannot be underestimated, the impact of that journey into oneself, because normally we stay at this very superficial mental level, but when you go deeper inside, it really is a profound, magic, wonderful, awe-inspiring journey that we embark on.
So it's a key to self-connection.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we could also say that in Tantric Massage, the aim is not to awaken someone, erotically, to aim straight at this erotic awakening. The aim is to put them in touch with themselves. And when they're in touch with themselves, they connect with the real source of energy, this powerful source of energy within them. And then that energy starts to express, starts to unfold. And the first level that we experience that on is this sensual, erotic awakening of our whole being. So the erotic awakening is a beautiful result, if you like, of what we're doing.
So it could be a complete surprise. We could connect with a part of ourselves that we've never met before.
Yes, for sure. And people often, because we spend most of our lives viewing the world through the mind, and so if you give someone an experience, and particularly a prolonged experience of life outside of that view, a deeper view, it really can be life-changing.
And for the couple, how does it deepen the couple relationship?
Well, you think about everything that nourishes a relationship. When you share beautiful, fulfilling, intense experiences, when you learn that you can trust each other, when you start to develop empathy and intuition towards each other to really understand each other's deeper needs. We're so conditioned in how we act in a relationship, in a couple. But when you start to interact in this way, somehow it gives you the opportunity to truly see that person for who they genuinely are, maybe even for the first time, because we project so much at each other the rest of the time. It can really be a beautiful respite to that.
So how does polarity work in Tantric massage?
Well, of course, in Tantra, the polarity is one of the pillars of the whole spiritual system. The idea that everything in the entire universe exists according to polarity, this interaction between consciousness and energy. So in a couple, we are working with the archetypal masculine and feminine. So for a man to awaken his soul, he needs to connect with that archetypal masculine consciousness. For a woman to awaken her soul, she needs to connect with that archetypal feminine Shakti, or energy, power, nature. And we can help each other in this, because if I, as a man, bring my masculinity to that woman, it will naturally polarize her and help to awaken and to call forth her femininity. And if I'm even better, if I'm skilled in what I do, and I'm able to really bring that loving, conscious, continuous presence to her that keeps her out of the mind, free from distractions, and takes her on a far deeper journey into herself, it can be a really profound and new life-changing experience of herself.
Does that create a dynamization of the energies? You were talking before about the importance to dynamize your energies.
This is one of the things you'd address, yeah. If you realise that person needs the energies dynamizing and awakening. But it will, it's a way of you're acting very beautifully together. And so there will be a dynamic effect, and it will send ripples into the whole relationship in that way, for sure.
And centering on the heart as well.
Absolutely vital. As I said right at the beginning, if all these kind of practices, if they're not done from the heart with love, they're actually going to have a counterproductive effect. We could talk about they'll be empowering the ego, the pride. Oh, what a great masseur or great lover I am. We get very carried away with the power of it all. So it's very, very important that we operate from the heart. And of course, any woman will know exactly what that feels like. Whether a man is approaching with love or out of his desires, and the effect, the impact that has are very, very different.
Because our cultures are not used to that level of centering on the heart and selfless adoration. It's a totally new experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, to see the goddess and God in each other. Yeah, to really adore in a almost spiritual way. But that's what frees us up, because we live our life seeing ourselves from within our limiting thoughts and ideas about ourselves. And so to be actually seen as a god or goddess by your partner, to be adored in that way, worshipped, every touch to be absolutely exultant, it really, it just opens the heart. It calls you into existence, into being, in a very beautiful and new way.
So how does the massage giver connect to the divine energies and then move those energies through the body of the person who's receiving, their lover or the person receiving the massage?
Well, any I hope any good masseur or masseuse would realise that in order to give the most to that person that you're massaging, you need to act as a channel. If you think you think that you're the one doing it all, it's only coming out of your reserves, your energies, your abilities. And we're not going to talk about karma now, but there's all kinds of impacts there on that level as well. If you think that you're the one doing it. But if you really open yourself up as a channel to all these beautiful, universal, godly energies, then so much more can pass through you. You know, you ask whatever this person truly needs in this moment, please let this come through me. It's a very, very wonderful way to operate.
And how does the occult law of offering work in tantric massage?
Well, it led very nicely into that, because that's pretty much what we were describing. So when you truly offer something selflessly, the idea is that you receive as much, because it's passing through you, you know, and they say that a certain proportion of whatever you offer in this selfless way stays with you. So the more you increase your capacity to offer also, the more you offer happiness, the happier you become. It's not because you're holding on to the happiness for yourself in a selfish way, it's that you're becoming a greater channel of happiness.
So you really open yourself up as a channel and allow whatever to come through.
Yes, and because we set a very clear and positive intention at the beginning, then only the positive things will come through as well. So you don't need to worry that you're opening yourself up to all kinds of unknown energies. Only the most beautiful, godly, elevated energies will be coming through, and that will have an amazing purifying effect on us as well as the giver. Yeah.
And I presume that centering on the heart is part of that purification process as well, so that you are totally in the zone, in the love zone, and therefore only channeling beautiful, godly, refined energies.
Yes, and this, when we spoke before about this being a spiritual practice, it's an amazing spiritual practice to go into these very beautiful, sensual and pleasurable energies, and yet remain in the heart, not get distracted by your own desires and callings in that way. So yes, it's a wonderful way to practice this.
So this is really for somebody on the spiritual path. How then precisely does tantric massage awaken the soul?
I would say that the awakening of the soul is something that happens in response to a genuine experience of life, a genuine experience of the different phenomena which are happening to us, through us. It's not something that necessarily needs to be forced or pushed or aimed towards. Just being present will naturally start to awaken the soul. Of course, there are certain things we can do when you talk about the different polar aspects of the male and female soul. There are different things that you can work on to connect more with the energies of that particular pole, if you like, of the soul. So for women, working on their vitality, feeling really rooted in the earth, connected to Mother Nature, awakening their sensuality, their humility, their great loving capacity, the female wise intuition, all these kind of things, and all the spontaneity that comes with this. And for men, again, working on having control over their own energies, their vitality, their erotic energies, having great self-control as well. That is very, very important for a man. And then, of course, to be able to offer love, to be open to receive love, and having a very clear, focused mind as well is very, very important if we're going to go into these more powerful energies.
It seems like there's a lot to learn about manifesting these essential masculine and feminine energies, polarizing them, and then controlling them. Does it take a long time to learn?
Well, that's one of those questions. How long is a piece of string? That it's like saying how long is the journey from the head to the heart? And sometimes it can happen instantaneously. Sometimes it's a lifetime. It really depends on one's intentions, I think, and how conscientious we are in how we approach the training. Because like with anything, if we really put our heart and soul into it and dedicate ourselves to it and work at it consistently, these things will come very quickly.
Are the benefits for men and women largely the same?
In some levels, yes. As the things you mentioned, calming the mind, becoming more present, and so on and so on. But then how those things are experienced, how they are expressed, will then become different for the man and the woman in many of the qualities we just spoke about. Yeah.
So there's not a particular gender that will benefit more easily?
Well, women do have a certain innate gift towards tantric eroticism, in that how men are so programmed towards ejaculation and losing their energy very unconsciously in that way. So it takes men quite a training to start to actually learn to separate from their very instinctual desires, to separate ejaculation from orgasm, and then to actually experience orgasm without ejaculation, which is another huge step for them. But being approached in this very beautiful, loving way by a woman massaging you is, I have to say, one of the most wonderful ways of training in this. Absolutely. For women, it's really about being approached properly, because a woman's body, if approached properly and she's relaxed and in touch with herself, she will naturally and spontaneously be multi-orgasmic. Because these days women are very, again, programmed, because there's such a lack of education in this direction about true eroticism, and they tend to copy the men. So there can be still quite a lot to be undone. But essentially all she really needs to feel is completely safe, loved, relaxed, to the point where she can really let her mental defences down and then start to get in touch with her true femininity. And this is why they say that, that women need at least 30-40 minutes of foreplay, but men can act very instantaneously sexually, but not erotically. So men actually also need that extended foreplay to transform their sexual instincts into erotic, elevated desires and feelings. So it works for both sides.
So how does it enable someone to relate more spiritually, more lovingly, more openly to their partner?
It reprograms everything that we normally project at each other. Because when we stop and really focus in our senses and focus in the experience of that other person right now, it opens the door to a whole new level of experience of them, and you'll start to actually recognize their true qualities and their gifts and the treasure that lies within them. So it will really transform the way you see each other in a very profound, beautiful way.
What kind of changes do people say they have noticed, or indeed have you yourself noticed, as a result of the experience of tantric massage?
Well, many leave saying that they've never been touched in such a loving way. They've never felt so loved, which, think about it, that's a huge thing to say. And this, might come from people that have been married for decades or had many relationships. And to say you've never been loved like that before is a huge statement, and that's, you can really start to recognise how life-changing this experience can be when it's done properly. Sometimes couples come for tantric massage together, and they'll be massaged in separate rooms so they can really focus in their own experience. But then when they come back together, because their souls have been awakened in such a beautiful way, she feels so much more feminine, he feels so much more masculine. And so the chemistry between them is so awakened. We often hear back from them later on, that they felt like they were on their first date all over again, even if that was, decades ago. And they went home and it was like their first night together, because that amazing chemistry, that polarity has been reawakened between them.
how can the benefits be embedded in everyday life? So you have this amazing experience, then how do you translate that into your everyday life?
It's one of these things when you have something that takes you out of your mind, it can be an amazingly beautiful and transformative experience. But then when it's over, the mind comes back in. And it can very quickly start to feel like a dream, and we start to doubt it ever really happened. So it's very important to either to keep a journal, to write these things down, or to just describe to your partner how it was. Because in that way, you're creating a map for your mind to be able to connect your everyday reality to that very beautiful new reality that you experienced. And so that enables you to bring more of it into your everyday life. And also it's going to help you to just to live more intensely, to be more vivid in your life, more awake, to be more soulful, more present in everything that you're doing. And to realize that every moment, if you really approach it with full awareness and openness, can be an absolutely abundant, blissful experience. Even the most mundane things, doing the washing up or cleaning, it can be really transformed when we become completely present in them.
And in the relationship, what's the best way to incorporate tantric massage in your relationship?
This is a question that comes up a lot because people, after learning about this, they'll say, okay, so is this part of foreplay? How far through the massage do I have to get before we can start making love? Or is this something we should do separately? And I always have to say, actually, it's a bit of both, because of course it can be a wonderful form of foreplay, and that's how you get your minimum 30-40 minutes of foreplay in, so both partners can be properly prepared to make love. But then also making it an individual experience, an isolated experience, where one of you is simply going to receive. That can be a truly liberating moment in anyone's life, because we're so fixed normally when we feel ourselves approached erotically. There's always that feeling in the background of obligations. Okay, I'm feeling this, so now I have to do that, or he's doing that, so I have to do this, and so on and so on. So to be completely freed up from that expectation is a really, really wonderful, liberating experience for most people.
So in your personal preparation, you will prepare yourself to be a giver and a receiver, to be totally open to receive and to be totally heart-centered in your giving.
Yes. So just really embrace that role, because you'll learn a lot from doing it in that way. And you set your roles in the beginning, and then you stick to them. Don't get distracted halfway through, because that's showing a lack of self-control, a lack of clarity in the mind and intention and so on. And so that can also be a very wonderful training in your will, just how you approach life in general.
Your will, your focus, your connection to your mind, body, soul.
Yeah, and you're good to your word as well.
And then how do you nurture your individual polarities that will nourish the relationship?
Individually or in the frame of the massage?
Individually, as in terms of preparation.
Mm-hmm. So any spiritual practice that you're doing, so if you're in the courses here, for instance, if you're doing the Tantra course or the yoga course, you'll have a variety of techniques, yoga postures, meditations that you can do to prepare. There are also the Vira and Shakti groups, which focus really on how men can prepare themselves individually and how women can prepare themselves individually. And of course they're utterly different. So for women to prepare themselves very beautifully, very sensually, as if their divine lover is coming to meet them, and the men to really prepare themselves, to prepare their focus, their presence, their meditative power, if you like, their occult power, to be able to arrive and just to transform the whole experience for their partner in that moment. So it's everything that you would normally do in your spiritual training, but it gives it a much more beautiful impact, and it makes everything much more pleasurable, sensual.
So in summary, Ben, why would I be interested in taking up tantric massage?
Why not? It's one of the most beautiful things you can learn to do, and one of the most wonderful things you can offer to your partner and to yourself. So whether you're in a relationship and you want to nourish, nurture, rekindle that relationship or deepen that relationship, or if you're not, learn tantric massage, because it's going to improve your quality as a man or as a woman, so you have more to offer. And the trick of resonance, the more you resonate with your ideal lover, the more they're going to be called into your life. So it can be a wonderful thing to do to help to bring that reality into your life as well, to find a meaningful relationship. And it's such a beautiful, pleasurable thing to do. In Tantra, the whole point is about awakening and expanding consciousness, which is the point of any spiritual tradition, or should be. And you think about it, when we experience pleasure, beautiful experiences, we naturally relax and expand. And this is why in Tantric Massage we focus on keeping everything on this side of being very pleasurable and relaxing and awakening and opening. So it's not like some massage techniques where you're going into the painful points and digging in there and say, just, take it. It's never going to be like that. It's always going to be a very relaxing, beautiful, nourishing, soul awakening experience, which will improve every aspect of life.
Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.